We have three, we've got us.
Hey.
If he comes, more the merrier.
Right, let's do it.
Good evening, September 4th, 2024. My name is, wait, no, it's
Not the
not.
4th.
12. Does it say 4?
Well, yeah, because it was published. Yeah. Right. Okay.
There you go.
Good evening.
You should be sitting here.
Today, September 12th, 2024. This is the Woodstock Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. My name is Michael Castiglione, and today
Jude Salato.
and based on that, it's determined that we have a quorum. Also, I'd like to know if there are any changes or additions to the meeting agenda from the board.
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to
Jude?
add a discussion about the meeting on the 26th. Just the logistics of it. Are you gonna,
I think it's actually on.
is it enough?
Is it not? Okay, yeah, just to discuss, yeah.
You have to pick up the microphone.
To pick up, to discuss case 2414, yeah, carport.
Is this the same?
No,
There's two things that
we're adding, yeah,
So case 2414, logistics of the meeting.
for the 26th. Yeah.
That in mind, we'll call the first case, ZBA case 2413, application of Sean and Esther Devine for property located at 110 Woods Tree Road to build a 7-foot-high garden vegetable fence in the front yard where only a 4-foot fence is allowed. And who do we have?
Sean Devine.
Okay. Thank you, Sean. If you could give us an overview of your case and your rationale for requesting this variance, it would be great. Sure.
About 8 months ago, we had put in a garden, a raised bed garden. And at that time, we had put in kind of a Japanese style garden fence around there. In my ignorance, I didn't know I needed a building permit. So we just put up the fence. The actual fence portion that has the chain link is only around 4 feet high. Because it's on a grade, there are parts that are slightly lower, there are parts that are slightly higher. There is a top piece that runs around the outer edge, which I had provided pictures to the building department. They haven't made it to the board, unfortunately, though my wife did just send them. That top piece is just a beam that runs along the top to prevent deer from jumping into the garden. The building inspector then came, saw it, obviously made us aware of the fact that we should have had a building permit. And because of the fact that we're on a corner lot, we have 2 front yards, which I also wasn't aware of, but I understand that is the way that it works. So in light of that, we're applying for a variance to allow for this fence to stay. The reason why it is as high as it is, and it's really just the top piece that makes it outside of the code, is to prevent deer from jumping over it. Because obviously, you know, if you've grown up in this area, deer will jump. We have provided the board with signatures from our neighbors, showing that they were very happy with the fence. They thought it actually kind of beautified the area, and they were pleased that it was there. So we took the opportunity to then discuss with them whether or not there were any concerns in the neighborhood about putting that on the property. I can honestly tell you, I didn't find anyone that had any concerns whatsoever. And in fact, since then, there have been many neighbors that have offered to sign, but we sent that in quite some time ago.
So the concern with fences is not what your neighbors think, but that we set a precedent by allowing you to have something and then they pop up everywhere. So So I have a question for you because I went by today. I just drove by. And so I understand that your side yard, they're calling your side yard a front yard too. Even because it's a corner lot.
Yeah.
But it also extends in front of your house, and that definitely, the part of your house that faces the road, right? Your front door.
It does.
It does. So I'm just wondering, why did you do it that way rather than have it line up with the edge of your house and go, beyond? Because then it would have been, we could have said, oh, that's a side yard, but it really is in the front yard.
It extends 2 feet past the overhang of the front of the house.
Mhm.
The reason why it does that, it allows for side access into the garden. There's a small gate there. And that's the only reason why it overhangs the house is a split level. So there is an overhang of the front of the house by about 2 feet. The fence itself goes about 2 feet past that. So
Okay.
you're right. There is about a 2-foot section of the fence
Right.
that extends slightly beyond the front of the house. The reason for that was to allow for a small gate to
Gotcha.
allow access from the front of the
So
house.
it's pretty substantial. So I want to throw something else out to you, and this is me, I'm one person. So I completely understand the deer situation. So what you can do, besides having a very obtrusive beam, is you can string wire. You could do wire, which would really be invisible. Do you know what I'm saying? Rather than having that big board, you can put wire and they will not jump over it.
If I were to do that, I would still have to have the posts up at that height, which
Right.
would still make it the same
Yeah, but
height.
it would be different though, yeah.
Well, in my opinion, I think it would make it less attractive
Mhm.
because then you would have posts just sticking 3 feet above the top of the fence,
Mhm.
which I think would be a detriment to the quality of the work.
Right.
So I think aesthetically for the neighborhood, it actually would be better to keep it the way it is, if that's at all possible.
Mhm.
But I do understand your concern.
Well, it's just a concern is that generally we don't. I mean, since I've been on this board, we've never given a variance for a front yard fence exceeding 4 feet. Just to give you a heads up, not to say that we never will, but we never have since I've been here. So just to let you know. And I'm just wondering if there's another way around it that could satisfy what you need that also wouldn't put us in that situation.
If the consideration is I know you had indicated that you thought it was a substantial overhang from the front of the house.
I just drove by. I didn't measure anything.
When I built the gate, I'm fairly certain it's only about 2.5 feet past the overhang in the front.
Mhm.
So that's 2.5 feet. Now, granted, I'll admit it is extending 2.5 feet past the front of the house in that direction to allow for the gate. If that's the issue, I suppose we could reconsider that aspect of it. I would ask that you consider allowing that variance to take place because I do believe it's fairly marginal. And if you look at I wish we had the pictures that we had sent in. I think if you look at the pictures, it's not a substantial overhang,
Right.
and it doesn't intrude on the road. It doesn't intrude on visibility.
Right.
And to be honest, we also have reached out to a number of our neighbors, many of them, and they've also indicated that. Now, I understand that you can't just have people building fences willy-nilly, but that is why we're applying for the variance, and we're trying to do this correctly so that we can find maybe, in this particular case, then it meets the beautification of the town, and it's something that could be allowed.
Right. So there was also I don't think you put up a gate yet, but there was also a very tall. Yeah.
And I was informed by the building inspector that was well within the zoning, actually.
The gate.
The gate. Yep.
Because he doesn't call that a front yard. I'm
No,
confused.
no. I was a little bit confused as well. Based upon my understanding from the building inspector, the gate is allowed to be that height because gates are allowed to be that height.
Like a doorway?
Yeah, it's just the doorway. But the fence is only allowed to be 4 feet based upon being in a front yard, but the gate itself is allowed to have that cap piece at that height. Now, it is a pergola type thing. It's, I'm sure you're familiar with this style of
So I
fence,
guess you can walk into it without.
hitting your head.
It's
Yeah,
about 8 or 9.
it's
feet.
7.5
Maybe it's-
7.5 feet.
Yeah, no, it's more than 7.5 feet.
I,
mean, if the fence is 7 feet, it extends way above the fence.
well, the fence, the top of that post or where you're seeing the header there is only about 6 feet. Now, bear in mind, this is hard to say because it's on a grade. It
Okay.
slopes down to the road. So there are places where it's higher and there are places where it's lower. So, on average, it's about 6 feet. There are places where it's a little higher. There
Okay.
are places where it's lower. As you get back to the front of the house that you're talking about where that side gate is, it's quite low.
Because he put in the way the building inspector wrote it was for 7 feet.
Yep. Which is where that was the highest. I was trying to be, when I wrote that up for him,
I
I
see.
was trying to give the highest
see.
point of it because I wasn't trying to hide anything
Okay.
there. And that's why I did it. I wasn't trying to get
Gotcha.
anything by the board.
Okay.
What's between the 4-foot chain link and the beam?
Nothing. It's open, completely open.
And the beams couldn't be anything other than what they are. You couldn't have something a little more discreet that, you're concerned with having the beams without the header going around, it looks silly, just like a 4-foot.
Well, the header, you're talking about, could the header be some?
Something less.
Oh, the beams are just 4x4s. I'm not sure that it could be anything less than that, just to support the fence. They're fairly standard. They're not 6x6s. I would take it into consideration, but it's, I wish we had the images.
Michelle's trying to- she's
I
trying-
know.
she's
I
trying-
understand that has nothing to do with the board. It's just unfortunate.
It didn't come down to us. the
Yeah,
pictures,
I completely, I get how it goes.
Yeah, well, not only that, but we lost all our emails, so even if you'd sent them 3 weeks ago, we wouldn't have gotten them anyway. She printed something.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, here, right, you can't see that. I can't see. So, okay, so I'm just gonna throw some things out. Once again, this is just me. Theoretically, you could have the corner posts just on the corners and take out, you could cut the other ones and just string a wire. You wouldn't need the support. I'm just throwing some things out. I'm just trying to find a way to make this work for you that will also work for us. But I am one person, but I'm just saying that's a possibility. You don't need all the support. You would just need the corners. And then you could string wires and nobody would see them and it would be less obtrusive and it's just a possibility. Just consider. Right? What'd you say?
Grow vine on the top.
That was the
Yeah.
intention, was to actually do grapevines along the top.
Gotcha.
W-
Okay. I guess Michelle needs to read the contiguous paper. You got another picture.
Well, if I can.
I got to just.
Yeah.
Where you
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yes, that's effectively the design.
So if this was in this, I don't know the property type, but if this was in a side yard, would you need a variance at all?
Well, the problem is that he has a corner lot and he's
Oh, that's
considered to
true.
have 2 front yards.
Got it.
But that doesn't mean that we couldn't say, oh, the side yard is a side yard.
In general, 6 feet is allowed in the side yard.
Garden fences can actually be taller.
Yes.
If they're chain link
Yeah.
or wire.
For the record, this fence is only used for vegetables. It's only used for garden. It has no other purpose. It's not a privacy fence. It's
Right.
not for anything other than growing vegetables. And it's purely to the intent of keeping the deer out, while maintaining an attractive aspect of the property. Prior to that, we had chicken wire up to keep the deer out, which was, to be frank, not attractive. So I thought this was an opportunity to help.
John Holland, 20 Home Street, Kingston.
Thank you for your time.
Brett Greer, 10 Highland Place, West Orange, New Jersey. Daniel Radosh and Gina DeClayan, 401 Caton Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. Jicky Schnee and Matthew Jones, 84 Sickler Road, Lake Hill, New York.
Can we
This is the
double?
wrong one. This is, that's bad.
Can we double check? Why don't we do this one? Try this one.
Oh, here it is.
Yes, and
Okay,
go on.
oh, I'm
That's
sorry.
because she had the wrong
Okay.
back there.
I know, I'm all flustered. Okay. Vin Harm 285 West End Avenue, 15D, New York, New York. Michael Veach at 9 Studio Lane. He actually called and said that he was okay with it. And Rebecca Ho Lopez is the previous owner, and she's the one who received the letter, and they sent a letter of support as well.
I'm really confused.
James Robinson, 3 Stone Ridge Court in Woodstock. William Glennon Jr. and Georgette Glennon at 115 Woods Tree Road in Woodstock. Eric York at 107 Woods Tree Road in Woodstock. Joel Brook, 74 Montgomery Avenue, Oceanside, New York. Fernando Ramos Jr. at 106 Woods Tree Road in Woodstock. And Robert Airing, 45 Forestwood Drive in Woodstock.
Okay.
May I ask who they, what was that in reference to?
Oh,
These are all your contiguous neighbors.
What we do
Oh.
is call out the contiguous
Oh.
neighbors so that if there's anyone in the audience who would like to.
Speak up.
I was gonna say, I know Georgette actually signed my petition.
Yeah,
so I can't imagine she had an
So with that, do I recess or close the public hearing?
We're gonna close the public hearing and recess the actual case.
So no, thank you. With that, we'll recess the public hearing, close the public hearing and recess the case. Thank you for coming.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Did I just recess the case?
Close the public hearing.
And we'll recess the case. There we go.
Second.
All in favor?
Thanks. Whew.
We got it.
And second case for tonight is ZBA case 2415, application of Ina Mayhew and Randy Barbie for property at 4025 State Route 212 for a 5-foot infringement into a 25-foot required side yard setback in order to construct a 4-season sunroom. So as you saw before, you just present us your rationale for what you desire.
Yep, say your names first.
I prepared a couple of remarks just because I'm so bad on my feet. I'm Randy Barbie. This is my wife, Ina Mayhew. We bought our house in 2003. It was an unpainted wood frame fix-up with a dirt yard and smallish rooms on Route 212 in Lake Hill. Well, we've been working on it ever since. We fell completely in love with living up here. But we've been landscaping and painting and renovating bathrooms, constructing dormers, replacing all the windows, storage shed. We built a standalone studio 10 years ago for Ina's artwork. And for 21 years now, we've never had a room large enough to host dinner for more than 4 people around a coffee table on a sofa. We're probably not alone in that. The small room seems to be a standard. We would like to put up a large room, about 13 by 16, which for us is a large room compared. It would be a solarium, 3 walls and a roof made of insulated glass, built into the side of our house next to the kitchen. It would serve as a dining room primarily and just generally have a beautiful view overlooking the Beaver Kill and the woods. Do you want to maybe we took a few pictures and did some illustrations on what the thing would look like, you know, attached to the side of the house and so on.
That's how it looks in front of the house.
Are you right on 212 or are you set back?
We are right on, not right on 212, but yeah, we're a little ways. We've got the house is on a hill. You pass it all the time.
How do you know?
If you drive down 212, you pass it all the time.
I always go.
I always take Wittenberg.
But after
Or
you,
drive
after
by
you
like
cross
this.
the,
We don't see.
you cross the little bridge over the Beaver Tail and you
Yeah.
look up to your right there and we're up on the little knoll.
Okay, so was this Mrs. Howland's, part of Mrs. Howland's property? Was Mrs. Howland?
No, it was John Holland.
Okay.
Um,
Howland, Howland, no, okay.
Anyway, so there's a kit available through the Hudson Valley Sunrooms.
Nice.
That would be our best choice economically and environmentally. Really, the only possible way to do this at our house is on the stream side. And the design would require us to infringe on our property line setback, coming within 20 feet instead of the prescribed 25 feet. So we're asking for a variance on that 25 feet, of 5 feet. I would add that the property line is at the crest of a hill, and show them the one where you look out through.
This is looking out.
You can sort of see
Our
what,
kitchen, looking towards the stream.
because looking out that way, there's the rest of our
This
yard,
kind of
there's an
shows where it
embankment down
is.
to a gravel road, there's a
Right,
further
which is
embankment
this.
down to the Beaver Kill, there's a bank on the other side, and finally we get to the neighbor's yard across the way.
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty.
So it's not like we have immediate neighbors. We can only see a couple of neighbors' houses in the winter and only partially even. So those are the broad
A
strokes.
wider view of the driveway, and then the stream is over here.
But that's our proposal and that's our request, is to
Okay.
give us a break on 5 feet.
Right.
Does the board have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I'd like to take this case because I do drive by.
Sure. Well,
I was like, how do you know?
knock on the door and come up and because we keep trying to shoot pictures that really represent, and it's only
Provided a
modest.
lot.
Yeah,
so-
I would say generally a 5-foot infringement for something like this is not unusual to ask for. So, just so you know.
Well, and we are a long way away from anybody.
Yeah,
We're
you don't have a
officially, we're
neighbor
in
right
4
on
acre
top
zone.
of you or anything like that. So
Right.
it's, I don't,
The property line is common because there's a hill of dirt
right.
and then the driveway. So
Gotcha.
our property line, we're sharing with someone else, but it's,
Yeah, you're not right on top of
we're,
each other.
no, not at all.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
not at all.
I'm good. I'd like to come just look, because that's.
By all means.
Yes.
by all
So I
means.
can, I'll get your.
We've
phone
still
numbers
got,
and-
we've got the stakes in the yard where
Okay.
the corners of this building are gonna be.
Okay,
And then we've got the property line staked out with another white stake.
perfect.
And then one just beyond that that shows where the property line would be if we had the full 25 feet.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
it's pretty basic.
Standing by.
Yeah. All right.
No other questions?
No, seems pretty straightforward.
If,
No, I'll read the right.
yeah.
Joshua Holland, 20 Home Street, Kingston, New York. Brett Greer, 10 Highland Place, West Orange, New Jersey. Daniel Radosh. Gina DeClayan, 401 Caton Avenue in Brooklyn. Jiffy Schnee, Matthew Jones, 84 Sickle Road, Lake Hill. Maritza Estrada, P.O. Box 164, Lake York. Beth Bayless and Theodore Bayless at 108 Windy Pines, Lake Hill. And Donna Cole at 70 Sickler Road. No phone calls and no.
We didn't think to go around and collect signatures.
Don't think you need to.
Thank you. And then with that, I'll close the public hearing. 24:15.
Second.
Hi. And thank you, Judith, for taking the case.
Yep, easy.
Okay.
Do you want to hold on to these?
You're welcome to keep
Um,
everything.
Can we keep like one of each? Like
Yes.
you put it-
In the
Yeah,
file?
Perfect.
And
Take one of those just so I know which has them.
so thank you.
We have to close, yes, recess the case.
I've recessed the case of ZBA case 24:15. All in favor?
Second and I.
Okay. And before we move on to the discussion about the meeting of the 26th and the logistics, I don't remember if I, all right. So one of the administrative items we have to do is
Thank you.
approve the meeting minutes from August 8th.
Second,
Favor?
aye.
Approved they are.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for the pictures.
Take care.
Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate people do this kind of beauty.
Well,
And
fingers
I'm sure you
crossed.
get a lot of grief along the way.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Put all your trust in.
And look at all the crowd that came.
And for your help, we can't thank you enough.
Yes, thank
She's the one that said, calm down.
See you guys.
Okay.
Have a good night.
We sure will.
You know, technically, we have 62 days, but I don't see that happening here.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, just so you know, I mean, that's legally, we're allowed to take that long to
Sure.
make a decision, but I don't see that here at all.
Great.
Try to have it for you as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll let our builder know it's encouraged.
But you
Yep.
have to invite us for either Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner. Because we'll all fit in that.
Hey, we will.
It'll be beautiful on the winter, you can see the street.
Sounds
Thank you.
good.
That's a good idea. We are made.
Bye.
Okay, then we got that done. So then we had some, the decisions and orders interpretations outstanding, 2414. Is there any actions that we need to take on that?
Well, that's what we were going to discuss.
That's exactly what I wrote down about the discussion. Yeah. Now that we can do that, thank you, Steve. What would you like to discuss regarding that case?
Right,
Oh,
open.
I'd like to open ZBA case 2414.
Second.
All in favor?
Oh, aye.
Um,
Yeah.
So I went to this property 2 weeks ago, maybe. Took some photos, thought it was a pretty standard situation. But then Jude and Michelle kind of looking at it and saying, something doesn't look right here. And what seems to be the case, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that the gravel patch that I thought was like, well within the property line is right up either on the road or even like, touching it basically. So, all the factors that I was considering before that are kind of gray area now.
Right.
I just pulled up your email, Michelle, just so I can get some of the details.
So what that is, Michael, is that she, the night of the meeting, she kept on saying that the house was in a flood zone, and they asked her multiple times, why couldn't she put it elsewhere? And she kept on saying, because it was so wet, and if she put it elsewhere, then the cars would sink. And the carport would sink because it was so wet. Okay, why is it wet? Is it because of septic? She's kept on insisting that no, it was in the flood zone. This is her home. That's her home. This that I marked out is the actual flood zone.
Yep.
So she's not
And she
actually in it.
wants to put the carport here,
It's right where the car is.
and you're saying that's
It's
really
right on
close to the road.
Yeah, I mean, if not on the road. So, I mean, that's number one. Number two is, even if it is not in a flood zone, it didn't look wet at all there. And in this aerial view, there's a shot that shows basically like tire marks to where an old garage or something. So, it seems unlikely that there's no other option for a carport or parking area. But thought I'd welcome other people's thoughts on what they think.
So I am just going to say, and I wish everybody was here. The fact that you took photographs was really helpful because it really showed. Do we have those for Michael? Yeah, computer. Michael, he probably has them on his phone.
Yeah.
It just really gave a good visual of what's happening there. And then I took a drive out there the other day because I thought, okay, it's good sometimes to have more than one person look at things. So it's where they have it now, it's too close to the road. It's going to get hit by the plow, basically. It's a town road, and it's got to be set back. there was a case, the neighbor next door got a variance. You can show him.
Yeah.
Got a variance so that his house would line up with the houses on either side. So the three houses are all in a line with each other. And it's hard to know why the carport could not also be right next to the house. There was a garage that was way in the back, which apparently got torn down at some point. But it doesn't have to go back there, but it could go beside the house, which would make more sense anyway if you wanted to keep yourself out of the rain and the snow. You'd wanted to step out your door and step into a carport, not have to walk all the way to the front of the property.
Yeah, the current gravel patches.
I'm not entirely sure of this, but I do think we've had meetings about this before, is that carports can't be in front yards.
Right, she's asking for variance.
Oh, to be in the front yard?
Yeah.
In this situation?
Yeah. Yeah,
Should be a little further back.
yeah, it should be, I
Well,
guess, well,
because you'd have to extend the gravel in this.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, what it was before,
sorry.
from what we could see from the photos, was it was just, people were just driving on the grass.
And talking about setting a precedent,
Yeah.
I mean, I'd much rather set a vegetable precedent.
I know, I know.
Than a car park in the front yard.
Right, well, also, it's not, it is that's a substantial carport. Some of them we've seen, have a very low roof or they're flat roof, which I'm not saying that
Well,
that's the
by-
choice, but this is not
Well,
a
by
small.
20, yeah,
It's
that's.
not, it's
that-
not, it's not.
20 feet, yeah, it's not.
We had one where
And-
somebody put up a 60-foot one too, which you can do and avoid having to get a building permit.
I can understand carports, and
Yep.
people get older, cleaning your car off on a
Right.
snowy day is a safety
I
thing.
get it.
But
Yeah,
I don't look at it, literal, but
But-
that's not
right,
my
yeah, yeah.
job here.
But still, if you're allowed to put it in the side yard, then it looks like there's nothing keeping her other than extending the driveway.
right.
Yeah.
So she would still need a variance
In the side yard.
to have it be next to the house, but, I would be willing to give that.
What would that
Why
variance
would
be?
there need to be a variance?
Because it's still technically in the front yard setback.
Even if it goes behind that front door, because there's plenty of.
All I can tell you is,
Like, this is where they're, like, I was thinking if they had a.
yeah, next to the house. I
Or-
think we'd have to check with Butch. I think it might, because the next door neighbor
Had that same-
needed a variance to put up the house.
You can pretty much see, Michael, where it's like, that is where the edge is and this is the road, so you can see.
It's a narrow road too.
I'd
Um,
be curious to know more about that other variance and why this would maybe also be the variance.
Where did she go? We'd have to ask
With the
Butch.
side,
Okay,
with side,
let's talk
if,
about
like,
it.
if she just put it in, if she just moved it ahead 16 feet, whatever.
Whatever it is,
So
yeah.
that it's in the side yard, which you need a variance. of.
Right, that's my question.
We'd have to ask Butch because it's the way that, you're learning something new every day. Because it's a town road and it's less than a 50-foot right of way, the setback goes to the middle of the road, but it has to have an extra 25 feet. So this is how we, in addition
So
to the
it
setback,
might not just be the side of the building, it may even be further.
yeah.
So
Because I mean, the
so
cars look right.
I wonder if the current request of 39 feet is even legitimate, because it would probably be much more than that.
Then this is what it looks like now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Doesn't look like it's back from the road at all. I guess we'd have to ask Butch if it were lined up with the house, if there would still be a need for a variance. It was, it's one of those cases that it's really good somebody went out and looked. Because on the face of it, you think, oh, but then when you see it, it's something. So,
Okay,
we lost Michelle.
all right.
So
So then,
we're gonna recess it?
yeah, we'll recess the case of ZBA 2414.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then logistics of our next meeting.
So I just want to reiterate this, and I don't know who is going to be responsible, but it would be really good if we had some sort of amplification because it's a community center and they are going, There will be as many, if not more people
Oh,
next time. So, and I would also like to put in a formal request that we get mic stands.
And heads up, it will be held at the community center, so we're not gonna be stuck here. It's gonna be at the community center. So the only downfall is that
who's that a downfall for? The community or? Yeah. I mean, that's we're, giving what we can, so more people can come in person and we're losing.
Haven't they've had Zoom at the community center. I'm not saying we have to have Zoom where people can respond, but is it?
I mean, I don't do it with like a laptop.
I think that's how we've had it there
Well,
before.
that's how we did it way
Some
back
who
in
fumbled
COVID.
around with their
With COVID
their
and, yeah.
regular.
But I'm thinking last year, there was at least one public hearing there that I think is available on Zoom. We can ask about that. We should ask. Just so it can be, recorded and put on
I mean, it can
YouTube.
be done on a laptop, that's fine. with me. I mean, I can
Could
remember.
100% go on a laptop, record it, not have
Yeah.
any?
But a camera would be good.
Yeah, laptops usually. Oh, so yeah, laptops usually have cameras.
Do Chromebooks have cameras?
No,
I don't know.
no, I don't think they do.
That's-
You'd have to
Oh, you
point
do
out,
separate one.
yeah.
Um,
It just would be really good because it was really difficult with so many people in the room. And then, the prior meeting that we just approved the minutes on, I don't know how Michelle even did it because you couldn't hear anything. And it would be good if we could improve that. And especially for a meeting like that, it's going to be important. So,
Michelle, is there an amplification system at the community center?
No, what you see is what you get.
So we have like an emergency bullhorn we could use?
But isn't this for Zoom and not for
this
amplification?
is for Zoom.
Yeah.
I went to a meeting about the water situation and there was a microphone there.
Yes, there is. In the little room behind, I know because we use it for summer camp. That's how so I know we can, I just need to be trained.
Or somebody comes and sets it up.
Can you get a megaphone?
Yeah, I
That's
think
what he said.
I think it's just like one mic.
Well,
It's okay, people come up and speak.
Yes.
That would be good.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's important that we do whatever we can to make the logistics as undistracting as possible.
Yeah.
Because we'd have to find out if we bought a computer with a Zoom. I remember last time it was somewhat distracting because then no one on Zoom can talk because they're only speaking into the little microphone
Right.
that's on the computer.
Yeah.
So there'd have to be a rule that it'll be available on Zoom, but
Yes,
comments
there's no.
will have to be made
correct.
in person.
Right,
Correct.
If you want to comment, you have to come in person
right.
Yes.
or write.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
yeah, so disruptive last time because nobody could hear this person, nobody could hear that person. It was so much
Right.
time wasted.
Yeah.
People were just
Can you
like,
speak
"What?"
up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't have an app, not that you're aware of.
Not that I know of, but I can find that out tomorrow. Now that I-
Well, I
Yeah.
told you, I was at that meeting, it was just a month ago, and they had a microphone, so there's
Yeah.
something exists somewhere.
Yeah, I know it's in the back.
Someone
in the
has
back
to have
room.
a guitar player. that we
I was
can-
just gonna say, there's
Yeah, I know there's
so many musicians in this town, somebody
Yeah.
must have an amp and a
I mean,
microphone.
that's what KW puts on their plays, so there is a system, I've never used it, so I
We
don't
just
know.
need a small little mic, we don't need a
Can-
whole sound
Can
system.
we look into that?
Yeah, tomorrow
You'll
morning,
look
as soon as
into
I
that
get
and
it here, I'll
just-
ask Phil.
I think because that would be great,
Yeah.
because everyone could hear everyone.
And maybe we can even put like a little stand, and you know what, that's where, I don't know if they do it at the town hall, but I know, council meetings.
Yeah.
You know,
They have
a little podium, put it there, okay, and sign up on the list, and I'll call the names, and,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
you got your 3 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever it is, and you're done. Yeah. 2 minutes, and then you're done. I mean, that way maybe it'll be a little more organized, and the flow would be a
Right.
little.
I mean, and people were upset because, I mean, listen, we anticipated a crowd, but not that crowd.
Yeah.
That was more than anybody expected, so. Okay, so I think we're good.
And
Really, if we could have either clip-on mics or
Yeah.
mic stand, that would be really nice.
just so,
Something like, that's a good idea.
we're just something that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway,
Can we take it in the first case?
No,
no,
we'll discuss.
all right, well, with that, I move to close a ZBA meeting, September 12th.
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Thank
I'm always looking for the
Yeah.
clock.